watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back again on another edition of This Morning, and it's Wednesday. It's like Tuesday for me. I forgot we had a public holiday on Monday. So we are back again. It's Wednesday, and it's going to be well, business as usual. I mean, we're just going to do the normal running order of the program. And today, well, it's going to be usual, but it's going to be different when it comes to the people on the platform. I have Lamin Choi with me in the studio, who will be co-hosting the program today. I mean, Choi, it's good to have you here. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Balde. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good to share the platform with top journalists like you. I mean, I have so much respect for Mohamed Lamin Choi. I mean, due to his work. I mean, he does his work to an extent where he earns my respect. So keep it up, Mohamed Lamin Choi.
You are the veteran journalist here. Let me leave everything in your hand.
Oh yeah, thank you. And of course, another. One of my biggest bros here, I mean, CD of Kachadula.
The critical CD.
Well, I mean, if you hear Kachadula, your mind clicks to CD direct. CD, you're welcome.
Thank you very much,
yes,
Balde.
I think this is the second time we're sharing this platform, and it's good to have you here. I mean, the last time we discussed on this platform, I mean, you know, we deem it necessary to bring you again. I mean, to at least squeeze the juice so that people can benefit from it. It's
thank you, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad your viewers also enjoyed it. And
yes.
I'm glad to sit with my friend, my brother, Choi. He's you know, a very hardworking young man.
Definitely.
And he does his work well. I said to him this morning, whenever he does news, I only don't get the news, but I get the facts as well.
Thank you very much.
There's one thing getting news, but there's another thing getting the facts.
Yes, exactly.
So Mohamed Lamin Choi does bring the news and the facts on any story that he does. So keep it up, keep it up.
For people like me, I watch the news, but I mean, I didn't even know of getting the facts. You see, I've learned again.
You guys are very kind. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. We'll be looking at the African proverb. From the African proverb, then we'll do the newspaper review, and we'll be going through that with our own CDCC in the studio. And on Community Watch, we'll be looking at the Sukuta market, the abandoned Sukuta market. I mean, the women of Sukuta, the last time they were on this program, we had a lengthy discussion, a very important discussion. They said they struggled a lot to construct a market in Sukuta. And it is a big disappointment that the market is not being used by the women, for a reason that they don't know. But some people said, I mean, it's difficult because people don't access the market easily, especially when it rains. On the 20th of April, 2022, we did a story, and by Ajibintu Drame, she visited the Sukuta market. And we'll be bringing that. Loli M. Kamara will be at the Sukuta market to talk to certain people, maybe village heads, to, you know, ascertain why people are not using the market. But first of all, you are watching QTV this morning, and of course we'll start with our African proverb, and I will allow Choi to read it out for us, the African proverb. Choi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Balde. The African proverb is, when your clothes are made of cassava leaf, you don't take goat as a friend. When your clothes are made of cassava leaf, you don't take goat as a friend. That's the African proverb for us this morning.
Exactly. When your clothes are made of cassava leaf, don't take good as a friend. I think, from my own interpretation, it's telling us to be careful of people who will only depend on you, people that will only come and use you. At the end of the time, it will be a white elephant for you. I mean, they won't be able to benefit you in any way or the other. It's important when we are moving as friends. I mean, it should be a win-win situation. I mean, we should benefit from each other time to time. But I mean, from my own interpretation, I don't know whether it's accurate or not, or maybe we can still have a better interpretation, which maybe we can invite Brother Sidi to do for us. Brother Sidi, what do you make of this proverb?
Thank you very much. Quite an interesting proverb, but I think you know, I would say you were right. I would say it's best to have a friend indeed than a friend in need.
Absolutely.
Because friends in need are those who are only with you because their need, you are resolving their need, you are solving their problems for them, or their needs have been taken care of. When, you know, things don't go well for you, you won't see them. And we often hear that, and we often see people who turn around and said, you know, when I was actually in such a position, I had lots of people, you know, who comes around, you know, who paid visit to me and stuff. And once I'm out of that position, you don't see them. So those are friends in need. And again, you know, we have friends indeed who will always be with you. And again, I think we should not only narrow this to friendship, even with families nowadays. You know, I think sometimes I might talk very controversial, but again, we need to think outside the box. You know, we need to be very liberal, you know, in the way we approach certain things. Absolutely. You know, we have seen, you know, where some people, you know, our families would always be there for you, and where you see other families who will choose to, you know, be with you because you can do X, Y, Z for them. Somebody said to me a couple of days ago, I find it very difficult to visit certain people or certain, you know, extended families and stuff. I said, why? He said, because if I go and I don't give them anything, you know, I'm not well received. You know, but if I go, I give them something, I'm well received. I've been asked to sit down. I've been asked to call the kids to come and say hello to your uncle, your auntie, stuff like that. So in a broader context, I think it's basically, you know, we should not only look at what we get, you know, from a relationship, but it should be a win-win situation, like Balde have said.
Exactly. Yes, Joy.
Yeah, for me, my understanding is that we should always choose the right relationships. When we make decisions on establishing relationship, we should always be wise enough to take, you know, critical decisions, critical look at who we associate ourselves with, who we establish relationship with, because in another way, the clothes you wear, the dress, your behavior determines who you become friends with. A bird of a feather flock together. So good people mingle. So essentially, our relationships, when we establish them, we must be smart enough, we must be wise on choosing who we become our friends with, because one way or the other, all of us have saving grace. One way or the other, one might have something against you, one might know something that is bad, and at the end of the day, if you do not have a good friend, or if you don't have a good partner or somebody close to you, in a relationship, that might be against you at the end of the day. So we must be very mindful when we establish relationships. That is the warning I think the proverb is giving.
I agree with you, but also one thing that we need to be aware and understand is friendship must be based on something. You know, whether it's friendship or whether it's a relationship, you must have something in common. You must have something that you value together. You must have something that you believe in together.
Shared values and
shared
principles.
Value and conviction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately now, you see a lot of people, you know, get together, do things. It's not based on anything. All it's based on is the material benefits around it. You know, you sit together because each and every one of you, is taking home 100 grand, for example, and you feel like you are friends, you know, because you go to the same nightclub, you go to the same, you know, cafeteria and stuff. You meet there. That is, for me, that is not friendship. What I consider to be friendship is people that you either grew up with them, and then you had certain things that you actually enjoy together. And you have a conviction, you have a philosophy, and believe that, you know, for example, I and Balde, we came from this particular village, and we all went through school, we went through our farming, our hunting, and all that. So that bond is there. There must be something that keeps you together.
The foundation.
The foundation. So without the bond and the foundation and the love for each other, it is very casual. I don't call them friends. I call them casual. A casual relationship, you know. So for me, the idea of friendship, you know, I'm not very keen. You know, I have very good people, but most of those I have are people that we share something in common.
Some values, common values and principles.
Yeah.
For example, when I was at the university, I had only one friend there, because I could see the values that I possess reflecting on him. And when he speaks, we agree. When we debate, we always, you know, agree on certain issues. And at some point, the class was like, these people never disagree. It's not because we don't disagree. It's because we are friends bound by common values and principles.
Absolutely.
And that is why we are able to.
Or sometimes at a point I'll see people saying, he's my best friend. I mean, I don't know to what extent, but it's difficult to gauge someone and take him as your best friend. I don't know. How do you do that?
You see, there are a few things that I looked at. When you talk about friendship, like a best friend, that's there. When you look at professional level, people that you socialize with is there. At social level, people that you socialize with is there. So I think we get confused that there are people who, professional level, we deal with them. They're actually not our friends. It's professionally, we are doing something together. At a social level, there are people that we socialize, we do things with them. But that is social level. They are not friends. And they are friends. So say, for example, for me, I have one friend. Only one friend.
And it's me.
No. I have one friend for the last, I would say, 40 odd years.
Wow.
Yeah, he's called Mustafa Danso. I'll proudly say his name.
Wow.
And everybody knows
Nice.
Mustafa Danso is Sidi's friend. Because, we will have the worst fallouts, serious fallouts. And we said, these people will never see eye to eye, but we'll still come and see eye to eye. And then the funny thing was, when we are going to school, at primary school, I remember it was grade 2, we fought. Right?
You see?
And then it was very terrible for him because, we had it's a family relation here. The auntie is close to my grandmother.
Exactly, I can imagine.
And so, for me, he tried to fight me, and I was smarter than him. I always said.
No, Bro Sidi looks very smart. He looks.
He wanted to give me a punch, and I just took the sun and just throw it in his head.
Madness.
And then, to cut a long story short, we continued to have that relationship from grade 2 to date.
Wow.
This guy named his son after me, named his daughter after my wife.
Wow.
We had so much together. It doesn't matter wherever I am in this world. And I can tell you one thing. At one point, I was arrested to be put in jail in Senegal during the struggle against Jammeh. And they were looking for one item from me. That was a telephone. And this guy left this country to come all the way to Senegal and rescue that telephone from me and go away with that telephone to discuss evidence. This Mustafa did that. Nice. At the time when Jammeh was here, he could have been killed.
You see how
that's what I call friendship.
Well, you see, that's why I said friendship at some point we need to sacrifice for each other. To the extent, when you say I'm your friend, it's a matter of life and death. You have to look at that as a friend. This is what you have to take. This is a brighter example. You can call him a friend.
It's more than a friend. This is a guy, like I said, just to conclude, I could have gone to prison in Senegal because there were certain things that, Jammeh was trying to get on me, at the time during the struggle in 2014. But if I did not do away with that evidence, of course, I probably would be, sent to Kanilai and eaten by the... But this guy left, sacrificed everything, his wife, his kids, to make sure that evidence was never traced. And still come back to this country. If one does that for you, it's more than a friend.
And Bro Sidi, just to ask, so you were with that mobile phone?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was with that mobile phone in Radisson Blue.
Wow.
Because I kept in Radisson Blue, so they decide if it intensified, they will catch it. They will get the mobile. And Mustafa,
he was able
to come to Radisson Blue and get that mobile out. I never said this story anywhere.
Yeah, for me, I think
I was taken to Police Central in Dakar, kept there. But they never had the evidence.
Why they following such a mobile? Is it more of a satellite mobile phone or a SIM card mobile? Is it a SIM mobile?
It's a long story.
It's a long story, absolutely. But for me, I think what I can learn from that kind of a friendship, from grade 2 to now, the friendship exists. In every relationship, there must be compromise. There must be tolerance. There must be understanding. because without these three values, and be ready to sacrifice.
Yes.
Sacrifice, tolerance, compromise, compassion. These are the values that must be shared between two people for a strong relationship to be established that continues to this level, because you know, things could have you guys rise and fall together. You must be ready to rise and fall together. You know, so
there is
at the end
true
of the day,
friendship.
there is true friendship
Yes,
still.
absolutely.
Yeah, true friendship exists. You know, it depends on how you define it.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yes. Thank
Some
you.
will tell you, "Oh, me, I don't have a friend," or "I don't believe in true friendship," or best friend. It exists.
It does.
Definitely. Thank you very much. That's the African proverb for you. The proverbs are very important because, I mean, they
moral
shift your
lessons.
attention to a whole lot of things that you have to learn. So it's important. And of course, viewers, you're watching QTV this morning. We'll take a short break. After the break, then we'll go to the newspaper review. We'll be back.
As the fastest growing GSM company in the Gambia, QCell has the widest 4G plus coverage in the country, 3 times faster internet speed than our competitors. So switch now and dial *335# and enjoy what true 4G feels like. QCell, the Gambia's trusted network.
You're watching QTV this morning, and of course, that's the African proverb for you. Well, interesting interactions and discussions here in the studios of QTV along Kairaba Avenue. And now we'll go straight to the newspaper review. And Mohamed Lamin Choi, we have the Foroya newspaper there.
Yes, here the front page of the Foroya newspaper. Police arrest Bafuloto Tanya murder suspects. I think it's a suspects one. Wellingara residents, business owners fear food spoilage. And on the front page, bold headline there, Gainako online media editor laments his daily reporting to the police station. And travelers lament unfairness at the Banjul Ferry terminal. So these are some of the headlines that we have.
And we have the Voice newspaper. It reads, police arrest 2 murder suspects in West Coast region. And of course, alleged cannabis smuggler faces court. And we also have Health Ministry faces clinical waste management challenges. And maritime negligence can lead to fathomable disaster. Well, we'll find out why. And we have the Point newspaper. It reads, prosecutor to send task force to arrest High Court assistant bailiff. And of course, UK-Rwanda deportation agreement in disarray as Boris Johnson ousted. And President Barrow pardons 8 prisoners. Gambia's economic freedom score 102 globally, 14 in sub-Saharan Africa. That's what we have on the Point newspaper. And once again, Brother Sidi Sisay, you are welcome on this platform.
Thank you.
Yes, but first of all, let us take a look at the police. I mean, let's start with the police. Police arrest 2 murder suspects in West Coast region. I mean, recently we have seen the number of murder cases going down according to, you know, what we've seen. Not statistic, not, I mean, it's from hearsay and what we is told, and you know how to, because for the previous years, I mean, it have been very worse. Sometimes you can hear 2-3 deaths in a month, but I mean now it's like it's happening again. So what should be done? What do you think should be done, Brother Sisay?
Thank you so much.
Mind you, he's a security expert.
I must commend the police for the arrest. And again, it's unfortunate that we find ourselves, or we've seen murder being committed in West Coast. and we pray for the soul to rest in peace. The circumstances surrounding the murder case, we don't know. Probably through the investigation of the police, we'll get to know more. But you see, when you talk about crimes like murder, when you talk about crime in community, the only approach that needs to be done is proactive policing.
Proactive policing, absolutely.
And proactive policing is the modern policing. That's where we call democratic policing. You see, gone are the days when the police go and, get the criminals. In our today policing is to deter the commit of the crime. We deter them. And how do we do that? Yeah. It's community policing.
Absolutely.
And democratic policing.
Absolutely.
This is the way forward. You see, I spoke to somebody, in fact, the head of the community policing at the police headquarters a few weeks ago when I had a meeting with DIG Bar, Assistant Inspector General of Police. I had a very fruitful engagement with him. In fact, I must thank him for his breakfast. On my way out, I stopped by, the office of the community police guy, who is JT. I said to him, I'm saddened that for the longest time, the talks about community policing, we hear it all over the place, in the news, on radios. But for me, it's cosmetic community policing. And the reason I said it's cosmetic community policing, yes, they go out and define community policing, talk to the community. That is not enough for me. We want to see men and women in uniform in our communities. That's what you call community policing.
The presence itself.
The presence has to be there.
Absolutely.
I gave an example to you guys. When I was policing in Sussex, in Brighton, in England, we have a place called White Hawk. A lot of burglary. We didn't have the manpower to police that burglary. But what do? We would go out there and put our police vehicles in the streets areas where they are predominantly burglars. And what happened? It reduced the number of burglars. Because when you see that police vehicle, you always think, oh, they're not far away.
They're not far away, absolutely, yeah.
So it's deterrent. You deter criminals doing the job. So actually what we have here in the Gambia, they are not actually criminals, they are amateurists. All this breaking you see, breaking in people's car, in people's houses, they are in criminals. The opportunity is there for them to do it. Say for example, Balde leaves his house and have his blind open, the light is on, and his laptop is on his decks. Of course, if you have one Kamarakunda passing around and saw that, it's an opportunity. He will take it.
Absolutely.
I think here what we have is advocacy for community policing. The police will be, advocate for it, but the actions are not there.
Are not there. So that's why I call it cosmetic community policing.
Okay.
What is happening? So what we need to do is to get our men and women in uniform to go out in our community and let these guys get out there with their police notebooks, taking notes of who and when they get in contact with anybody. You go to the shopkeeper around my street, for example. Every day you stop by there, every day he will give you some information. You take example at Jaban Estate, for example, the roundabout. The young boys are coming there with knife and they are looking out for these single women who are getting off taxis going into the estate and trying to get their bags of them and trying to their telephones of them. And you have Latria police just around the corner. How many men are there? How many women are there? Find your men and women. Can they not have a walk around the estate, for example? So we need to do away with this cosmetic idea of community policing and go into proactive policing, democratic policing, and then we have a problem solved. Unless we do that, we are just putting our head down in the sand. And this is the way forward. And we cannot shy away saying the truth. I'm not against the police leadership. They are doing a wonderful job. The men and women in the uniform, they are doing a wonderful job, but we need to encourage them. And we need to support them and we need to resource them. At some point the police had got certain number of bicycles, push bicycles. Where are they? I've not seen any single police officer on those bicycles in our communities.
Well, Brother Sidi, if you look at certain things, how they work in this country, it's very sad. I mean, that's why for me, I always ask this question. If they tell me we have this, we want to do this, I ask them, how will you do it? I mean, you mentioned the issue of these bicycles. I mean, we covered it. I think Choi did the story. We covered it. But, I mean, we've never seen any police with a bicycle going around a community, I mean, trying to find out what is happening or trying to see what to do so that you can protect the people. Maybe if you go to police headquarters, the bikes are parked there. Or maybe some of the police are giving the bikes and they leave them at home or giving it to their kids to go to school. So we are not serious as a country.
I will not say we are not serious as a country. I think we are serious people. What we need to do is to put our act together.
Well, that's what I would say.
So for me, when you come to, like you said, what the police needs to do, we're still dealing with the issues. We've seen the bikes, and fortunately, Choi is here who covered the story. So right now, the police have got powers. Though we all know the powers of the police is as old as my grandmother.
Oh, yes.
So do we actually want to police with the powers that are as old as my grandmother? Or do we want to actually look at the powers of the police in the 21st century? This is important. And it's not only the police. You go to the fire service. The last time the Fire Act was looked at was in 1924. You get me? So all these institutions needs to revisit the powers, their laws. How do they do their job? Because we can sit here and point fingers at the police, but probably they have very limited powers to do what they were supposed to do.
Yes.
I would have thought right now the police would have the powers to search, stop and search. What is stopping the Gambia police force having stop and search as powers? Getting our men and women in our community doing stop and search. This
they can't do that. What are these checkpoints meant for?
I mean, you tell me.
So what do they do? They cannot stop and search.
To stop an individual and search them, the powers of the police.
So they need a warrant to do that. They need a permit.
That's what I'm saying. They need to look at the police law itself.
But I think if a police officer suspects you, if you are a suspect before a police officer, he or she has any right or power to call and search you.
But are they doing that? Because they are not going
talking about having the powers and implementing those powers are two different things. They have the powers, perhaps not.
Do they know they have the powers?
That's another question.
Do they know they have the powers? Because what we see here, police will only do searches when there are crimes committed. They will go out to houses to do searches.
It's interesting you talk about community policing, because it's through community policing that confidence and trust is built between the police and the community. For example, as an investigative journalist, if you want to access information about, let's say, a minister, you want to investigate a certain story, you don't go and break into the office of the minister, you do not go and call the minister. Maybe you can start somewhere by building relationship between the rank and files and the directors, those that are close to the minister. Be friends with them from time to time. This is what you are taught in journalism. From time to time, call that person. Hello, how are you? I was just checking on you. You understand? At least regularly communicate with the person.
Build the relationship.
Yes, build the relationship until you become friends. And then when you become friends, that person has trust and confidence. Sometimes it's not about they don't want to give you information, but it's about, can they trust you? Yeah. Can they trust you with this information? I think when the police builds that relationship with the community, it's not only about going and then sensitizing them, sensitization, advocacy. No, there needs to be practical measures.
See, that is important. And I think for everybody to know and to be aware, I've said this for the longest time, that we will be bracing ourselves for more crime because we know the economy, the world economy is on a downturn. We used to have, this successful back way, but it's not happening anymore. Business is slow. Things are difficult. So we're going to see more crime. So what do we do to abort that? Is for us to do proactive policing.
You talked about the fact that in community policing, there must be the presence of the police in the community. The fact that our police is not well equipped or they are under-resourced. They don't have the resources, maybe the vehicles. You cited an example, in the UK, putting a vehicle at a street for people to see the presence, at least symbolizing the presence of the police. But in the absence of these resources in our police, I think that given the fact of that matter, why the UNDP donated the police with bicycles so that they can be patrolling streets and then visiting all those things. But in the absence of the resources, how can we have that presence of the police in our community, for community policing?
Thank you. You see, the Gambia Police Force in 1 year can make over 200 million, can be one of the richest institutions in this country.
How?
200 million?
Yes,
200 million.
in 1 year. I can give them a check of 200,000.
Share the magic with them.
But,
yes.
Yeah.
But
let me
the
say,
police is not a business institution.
No police is a business institution, but the police have powers to make money.
To make money?
To
Absolutely.
invest.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh,
Let
yes.
me tell you this. On this very platform of Kachadula, we kept drumming that they got to do spot fines on traffic offenses. By May, they've raised over $7 million, all dumped in Central Bank of the Gambia. Take 25% of that $7 million and invest into the police. Are you not giving the resources? And I say to you now, let me give them a scheme. And if they do it six months, they'll make 50 million. Take my word for it.
Let them learn.
Brother Sidi, I mean,
I'm saying
yes.
from Westfield to Abuko, do it no parking. And there is a fixed penalty from Westfield to Abuko on both roads, on both sides. From Westfield to Tipagaras, no parking. From Westfield to traffic light, no parking.
Where are people going to park?
Well,
No, it's not. You see,
Brother,
you see, the law is already there. Section 65 of the Road Traffic Act is already there. Where people are going to park, that is not their business. You drove your car, you got to find somewhere to park. If your shop is in the middle of Serekunda, park behind the roads. If you don't park, you fine, you pay. You get me? And you take from Tipagaras all the way to Manjai Johnson, the same thing. You find these people. I'm telling you, in 6 months, they'll make $50 million.
they cannot make 50 million. You know why?
Listen, you know why?
They cannot.
You know why they cannot make 50 million?
They cannot make 50 million.
Do you know if I've done a study on this?
There is something. Maybe when it goes well.
No,
They-
you see, the
No,
idea-
just allow me to.
No,
just
I'm not
allow
going to
me.
allow you because
So,
you are defeating yourself saying they cannot make
No,
it.
they cannot.
You
Let
know
him
why?
challenge.
Let me say this. Let me say, Balde,
Yes.
I'm not trying to jump in here.
Yes,
When
yes,
I was
yes.
when I was talking about the spot fines, lots of people are saying it's not possible. And we have seen they're making millions now. And guess what we are doing? On my platform every month, the police officer or the unit with the highest ticket will award them something.
Well, you
and
know,
we started awarding
the
them.
reason why I said they cannot make 50 million. There is a bigger thing that we should fight before you implement those things. That is corruption.
No, listen.
No, if
I
there
understand-
is
I understand
corruption,
why- I understand why
even
you're
if you
saying.
bring the best plans, they
No,
will never make it.
listen to me, Balde.
Yeah.
Listen to me. There will be no single corruption in this project. You know why?
How?
You know, let me tell you. You know why? Already now, the scheme that they're doing on this spot fine, from my little mega resources, we said, we're going to give them something. I'm telling you now, let police come roll this thing out. And out of this money they're going to put together, the police will have a private pension. Balde, the police never have a private pension in this country. Before you feel sorry for a police officer in the Gambia, it's for them to retire and start seeking for another job, a contract. They are contractors. A retired police officer is a contractor. You have a private pension for them, a private health care for them, okay? You have housing for them. You give them health insurances out of, you give them incentives for their kids out of the work that they're doing. You think if I'm a police officer, I get a private health care, I get a private insurance, I get a private life insurance, I get housing. You think I'm going to be corrupt?
So you are telling
But
us now.
there are people who enjoy those benefits. And
No, there is nothing that can stop corruption. you know, in your way of thinking. But it is possible to stop it because the enforcement also has to be there. You say, for example, the police in the Gambia needs to have an independent police complaint commission. It needs to be there. We don't have it. The police are policing themselves.
Yes.
So we need to have an independent police complaint commission that sits and looks at the affairs, the day-to-day affairs of the police. But today, if you have a problem with a police officer, you go back to the police station or the police headquarters, and they looked after it, and then that did go.
Now,
what I'm saying to you, Balde, we can give the police $50 million in 6 months, and I'm not saying this out of the blue. It is possible. You've seen what they have done.
Yes.
In 4 months, they made over $7 million. And the police have not had a fraction of that $7 million. I'm saying give 25% of that money to the police. You'll make a headway with the Gambia police.
So now, how are they going to do the payment? I mean, how is the payment going to be done?
So how are they doing the payment of the sport fines?
Maybe they've made $7 million in those months. But do you know they would have made more than 100 million? Do you know if the other 3 million have been eaten by the police?
No, you see, for me, I trust the police. I trust the effort that they're doing. I trust everything that they're doing. And they're doing a noble job. They are saving lives.
Nobody can deny that.
Yes, sir. But again, they must be given incentives from the work that they're doing.
Matters.
That's important.
It matters, absolutely.
My advocacy is the money that now they are collecting must start to go back to them. Once they started doing that, we'll see a police force in this country that is completely different. Right now, we are seeing the police being deducted for canteen. We are seeing the police being deducted for transport. They are not benefiting anything from this.
They are not benefiting at all.
They are not. A police constable sitting somewhere in Baka or Bursubi is paying for a canteen. Is he eating anywhere in those canteens? A police officer sitting in Crab Island police station, for example, is being deducted for transport. Is he paying any? Is he benefiting from this thing? So what I'm saying is we must invest into our police, and this needs to be done, and it must be done now.
At the end of the time, you know, we are very good at implementing projects, new rules, but it's a matter of consistency. I mean, we are not consistent.
I understand you want to be a devil's advocate here. Great. What I'm telling you, the Q money that you're using, you know, a lot of people now are enjoying the benefit of Q money. You can send money to your family in Damkunku, for example. I can send money to my family in Brufut, even I'm sitting here, and they can just go to any Q money cash and get it. We have seen the secos, the groundnut secos are getting paid or making, you know, they are paying people, farmers, with the Q money, for example. Not that I'm doing any marketing for them. So when you go to like Kenya, for example, many things that they are doing, for example, it's not through cash, you know. I was in the UK last week. I didn't hold a single pound or a single pence in my hand. Everything is plastic. We can do it. So everybody have got a mobile here.
I was talking to the, sorry.
Smart mobile. Every user of our roads, 98% of them have got smartphones. So
it's
there
interesting.
Will be apps that will be done.
It's interesting you mentioned that because I interviewed the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, and he told me another way he wants to fight corruption is by introducing payment gateway to digitize, you know, the payment system of our, you know, country. We don't need cash. From cash to cashless financial transactions. I think that is what Siri is talking about.
Siri,
I did a little survey, you know, with my security firm to check, you know, clients who took guards from me, why do they took the guards? And they, you know, out of the lot, it was 60%, you know, because they had once been burgled, you know, they have once lost something in their homes. And when we go back again to find out how did that happen, 56% of the burglary that happened is through negligence. 56% of the burglary that I've investigated is through negligence. From there, I developed a concept called Community Crime Watch, and I went and shared with the Gambia Police Force leadership, who was the late Mahmoud Joe, with the present IGP, and all the top. And we discussed this. We, you know, make it something. And from there, we developed an MOU out of this. So as we speak, you know, Community Crime Watch has an MOU with the Gambia Police Force. And from there, we did not stop there, but we make sure that we worked with GRTS at the time to sign a contract with GRTS to do a program on GRTS to talk about Community Crime Watch. But again, like Baldev said, sometimes these things aren't easy. You know, you go through a lot of challenges in terms of the manpower and stuff like that. But again, I don't give up. I've just said to you a couple of months, over just a month ago, I was with the Assistant Inspector General of Police of Admin, Mr. Ba. I presented a report on accidents, the situational report of accidents in this country. We commissioned a report under my organization, you know, my business. We funded, we commissioned a report, and we invite all stakeholders and presented this report. Now, unfortunately, the police did not show up because, you know, they, like they don't want to be in a boxing ring. I was told. But again, you know, for me, I didn't stop. I went there and I presented this report to them. And my position, to do away with accidents in this country, we must have DVLA, Vehicle Driving Licensing Authority, must be established in this country. Because vehicles must go through MOT. The driver's license must be taken away from the police and must be with that institution, Vehicles Drivers Licensing Authority. Everywhere else in the world, that's what is there. But once we don't do that, kids will be killing us in the street. Drunks will be killing us in the street. Reckless drivers will be killing us in the street. Motorists who are driving, you know, poor condition vehicles will be killing us in the street. So we must begin to do something. I must commend President Barrow. He came out this time and said, you know what, it's not going to be business as usual. And I'm saying, double up. You know, we are Gambians. We want to see a better Gambia. We want to see a better country, and we can do it. No donor can fix our country. They can give us money. No Chinese, no Indian, nobody. It is Gambians who can do it. And we must be positive thinkers now. But I understand you can be a devil's advocate, but let's be positive that we can do it. And definitely we can do it.
Well, you know, why I'm becoming a devil advocate here? I mean, it's like the police promised us a whole lot of stuff here. They were sitting here, Lamin Jai was here on that chair.
Yes.
He promised us a lot, and he said a lot of things when it comes to clearing our route.
Yes.
The police were involved in a road clearing exercise with NRA, but still now, I mean, there is nothing done. Our roads are tight. I mean, even if you were to drive your car, you cannot drive. Piles of gravel everywhere, mechanical garages parking their unused vehicle everywhere.
Yeah, I agree with you, Balde. You see, when I sit on that chair doing Kachadula, I can have my father sitting here. I don't see him as my father. I will tell him what I want to tell him. When I sit with you guys today, what I want to say, I will say it. The present IG is a very good friend of mine. I talked about my my good friend, Mr. Ba, as well, and lots of them. But do that stop me telling the truth? I have to speak. My conviction is clear. Until and unless we see the great transformation as far as Gambia police is concerned, we are not going anywhere. For me, what I want to see, all these small police stations must be closed. We don't need a Brusubi police station. We don't need a Kotu police station. We don't need a Manjai police station.
Sukuta, your police station is terrible.
We don't need that police station. All these police stations must be closed.
Why should they be closed?
Right. Let's do this. Close all these police stations, for example, in this region, and build a central police station. And that central police station must have sections. And this section, for example, must have a section that deals, we must have a storage facility for evidence only. You go to this police station, in front of them you see packs of stuff lying around. They are evidence that's supposed to be presented in court. You produce that to court. You close all of them. Build a central police station. And all these men that sit in this police station, let them go on their foot. And these police stations will not be used for detaining people. They are closed down. And the central police station is not used for detaining people. We'll have custody suites. We'll have a custody suite in KM. We'll have a custody suite in Brikama, for example, West Coast, Janjambore. All these regions will have custody suites.
So when you talk about dismantling or closing down all these police stations, and just recently you talk about the presence of the police, these police stations, aren't they at least, you know, giving some presence at the community levels?
What they're doing, what the police stations are doing, for example, they're not doing anything. I know it's very radical to think like that and talk like that. I am saying, you go to Bursubi now, all those officers there should be on their foot, outside, on bicycles. on motorbikes, on response vehicles. You think right now what they are doing, they're sitting there for you and I to fight in the street, and we'll come and make a complaint.
To find them there.
Yes.
To go and find
but
them.
if they are out, you and I will not have a fight. Because you'll be in the street to stop that fight.
So there are hundreds of police officers in police stations when they're supposed to be out patrolling.
They should be out. And I can tell you, we did some bit of a documentary when I was presenting this report on the crimes, burglaries that happen. You know, I mean, sometimes these things, you know, I'm not trying to have a go at what is happening, but most of the stations that we visited, the minimum officers we find there is 9 doing nothing.
9 of them?
9. This was in 2019, before the COVID. Okay? Minimum. I'm just saying minimum. I'm saying get them out. Palde, I'm sure in your street, if your neighbors are seeing police going in and out, hardly there will be any problem.
I think here
and trust will be there.
The presence of the police usually at the traffic. That's when we get to see the police officers.
We don't need them. We don't need it.
Traffics. For example, in your area, they do patrols.
To see a police patrolling?
They
I've
do,
never seen a police
but that you know, walking on foot or
I've never seen a police
I was sort of brought here for a newspaper review, but you say it's taking side. No. But what I'm saying is, we don't need police checkpoints all over the place. What we need is smart, proactive traffic unit. Smart, proactive traffic unit where you have police officers in super motorcycles who can chase vehicles, in super police traffic vehicles who can actually be out. Speed guns. You go, for example, on West Coast roads. How many times accidents have happened at the same spot? You go on the Kian Road several times, all over the place. We need speed guns. You know, police can be in mobile unit vehicles, mobile motorbicycles, and be out in the fields with speed guns and making sure that drivers see their...
what would the speed guns do?
Well,
to measure their speeds.
They'll determine the speed you
That's what happened all over the world.
But we used to have them here. I mean, we used to have them in the Gambia. I don't know what happened to them, Mr. Sisi.
I attended a program.
You saying they were doneted?
Yes, for me, I attended a program with the German police.
They donated. But when you drive, for example, few months ago, just last month, I was driving.
It's the same as speed cameras, right?
Yeah. I was driving by American Embassy, and this driver just behind me tried to overtake me, right American Embassy, and just went right in the side of my car. And then, you know, he wanted to run away. I had to run after him and pull him off. I said, why are you driving this fast here? He said, because you are not driving fast. I said, do you know the speed limit here at American Embassy? Right in front there, Kairaba Avenue here. Do you know the speed limit? He doesn't know. So the National Road Authority comes here. We must have street signs.
Forget about National Road Authority.
No, you see, for police, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
National Road Authority,
that's
I think they are worse than the police.
What I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying. We need drivers' vehicle licensing authority. When we have an authority that is going to manage our roads better for us, because with that scheme, they will in fact introduce fines on drivers doing speeding. You know, it's so easy to manage this. This is no rocket science, my friend.
Mr. Sisi, police, do we even have a helpline? I mean, a line where
you know, don't even talk about the police. What you need to talk about, we don't have. It's any country that is serious. I have to borrow your word. It's not my word.
You borrow it from him.
No, we'll have to. You know,
I'm going to borrow your word.
Yes,
I'm going to borrow your word.
Yes, no problem.
Any country that is serious in fighting crime must have a national emergency number. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as Gambia is concerned, we are still not serious in beating crime down because we don't have a national emergency number. I can come to your house and slaughter you. I'm just you know, hypothetical. And nobody will be able to get hold of a police to come. Somebody told me, a very senior government officer told me just yesterday at Salaji, Jabang Highway, the forest thing. He found a truck, a commercial truck was dumping commercial waste. And he tried to call several police stations, Burusubi, Latria, all these places, and he could not get anybody, any police officer to come to his aid to get this chap arrested who was dumping commercial waste at the forest. And I asked the forest department, what are they doing? Even whereby the police did not come, are they not having forest wardens to stop the illegal dumping of commercial waste in our forests? So I'm just telling you, I borrow your word. If a country is serious to fight crime,
we are not serious.
I'm not saying we are not serious. But if we are serious to fight crime,
well,
we must have a national emergency number.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Well, if you call the fire service, I mean, before you reach the fire service, the phone will be ringing and directing you to different numbers, you know. So you cannot even reach them. It's difficult.
Maybe if you call them right now here, you are sitting in Caraba Avenue, somebody in Bassi will answer it.
Exactly. So it's difficult. We should, Brother Sise, I think these are things that we should look into. These are things that we should all, I mean, let's dialogue as a nation.
You see, the problem, Balde, is not that there are not Gambians who can do this. There are Gambians who can do this. They are smart Gambians.
You know,
and even in the police, there are smart, talented young men and women there. You know, the ministry, they are smart. But you know what? They must have the willpower. And don't sit here and say, oh, Lidu Doh Gambia. It will work. There is nothing that will not work in this country. It will work. Anything can work in this country. We must do it.
A country as small as Gambia.
And you see, we must do away with this comfort. There is nothing comfortable in this country. We have to be honest. There is nothing comfortable in Gambia. If you want comfort, you go outside Gambia. So let's create that comfort here. Okay, so few individuals may think they have comfort, but it's not comfort. It's not comfort. And it's time we create a comfort.
Well, so Brother Sidi, we are happy that, I mean, people like you are here, and, you know, maybe as time goes on, you should be able to bring all these things into effect in the Gambia, you know.
Yeah. We are not politicians.
Yes. I know,
we are
but
political commentators.
But you are a Gambian. I mean, you are a citizen, and you want your country to move.
That's what we are doing.
Yes.
In short,
we have Lolly. We have Lolly on the line. We'll continue this conversation. I mean, interesting. I mean, we decided to do away with all the stories today and only focus on security and the police. Finally. All right. We have Lolly currently at the Sukuta market. We'll talk to Lolly. Hello, Lolly. Lolly.
Hello, Mr. Balde, good morning.
Good morning. Sukuta Uncle.
Yes. Sukuta Uncle Felenti Balbe Kortonka QTV.
Yo.
Series Saintendi Bal ko programme woni juwe kan.
Abarka.
Saintembe sefo la korral economia lonko wolemu Alhaji Momadou Bojanti. Sainteng bala korral ko so nabe kachas la kula mi alon ko wolebe dending marse ni na kula mi anko wolebe bruce bisilo nyinka.
Okay. All right. Akuma rabake. Hanisa andro nga sefo nyi lamoy katu nga lonne ko atemu alfal tindung ase kuma jama fo mo mole Marcela la cour.
Assalamu alaikum abaraka bake tumo mina yela watota andu yew benku mal sto mi alon ko nyanta kataje bari yew bengo nyinta ka bay tumo mina QTV putatema pour que nyinin ka kula mi alon ka kumata an telefona ina anda mun na suloldi pour kalon kolbe nyami abaraka bake be bismillah.
Lonje kole sar alfana ya barka anna la TV staff on mebe
Sainte lafta ke nyinin ka kula mi alon ko wole mo marseti membe brusubi men keta Sukuta marse nyite ngalon ko marse nyi ngalo tale sanje dantan koma ada yele tale bari men data ke jakali koti wole hani bi mo musolje ka wafiro ki je dolbe bantale ye kulon wo ko tala ndi safo no wole yemel lonje
ndame lo wo ko to amawara wasanda marse sara lorene alke nyemene nka karan dafa wa jakal ku bat marché be lo to wanyam ba nga kisikisol ko nga nyinen karoke ngamin soto kibaro luto yata nina ko mbengo mo nyolale ko ya jamme the former president ya ejeje jamme wole nyi marché ta aya de gambe musol aya lo so marché be wo lo nyanya ma yele folo tale no ngamor jeje ke du kepent nata ja stop ta malo mem nata nyinen karoke akola nata kiskizo ke ko nyi marché la ko bu musol lebul wala tan natol be ko nyinen kala je asta women's bureau ale minister nyinen ka o ale to la mo staff ol nyinen ka fellonje ba manda wo to ngenya ko ni marché a contrat ko di jamal e ko nye ka fo Mr. Jeng e ka be kanifi yen direct ndata je mataraje so man na seje ko tek e ko abolo golo mu dar contract manot so man na seje ko tek bal ye membe fonye ko abo musolo bu ko na musol bu ne musol lafte la marché la yaayel ne wonte to ni e bitala to the government your government ni nan kay la ko la marché la ko la
Mr. Balde, you heard from the chief of Combo North, thus Alhaji Muhammad LK Boja, commonly called Momodu Boja. This is what he has to explain with regards to the market currently at Sukuta, where it is already constructed, fully built.
Yes.
But what is the question is, why isn't vendors and buyers still going to the market to shop or to do business? This is what he has to tell us.
Okay.
We will still continue with our investigations. We'll still continue to find out more, because he has already referred us to the ministry responsible for women's affairs. So we'll try to engage the minister responsible for women's affairs, that's Fatu Kinte, and the man he called Mr. Jeng.
Okay.
He is the contractor. He has been handed the contract since day one. And according to him, the former president of the Gambia, who was Mr. Yahya Jammeh, gave the market to the women, not only Gambian women, but to West African people, because that was the reason the market was built. It was for the sub-region. But this is the issue. We'll go with the chief to the site to tell us more about what is going on there. We will find out about for ourselves if we feel women.
Yes, Lolly. Thank you, Lolly.
Whatever is going on.
Yes,
there.
it will be important.
Mr. Balde.
It will be important for us to see quarterways of the market. I mean, the nature of the market, and you know, there would be able to ascertain why the women are not selling in the market. I can remember we used to we did our filming there on the 30th of April 2022 by Ajibintu Drame. If control room have that video, maybe you can play it for us so that we can share with our viewers before Lolly gets to the ground. And of course, we'll still engage Brother Sidi. Brother Sidi, Sukuta nkolu iko emanta marseto. Nga mandi kakan nice.
Balde.
Okay. Iko video nyi na.
Okay.
Ha nga video nyi njibe nga na.
During the first phase of construction, a few vendors used to sell in the stalls. However, that was cut short during the rainy season, as the place gets inundated with water, making access a difficulty for both vendors and buyers alike. Binta Kujabi and Sirakuli, both market vendors, are among the few that occupy the desolated facility when it was under construction a few years ago. After witnessing how the newly constructed market became inundated with water during rainy season, stopping buyers as it became unsafe, they chose instead to erect stalls in front of the market gate to continue earning a living. We are appealing to the government to investigate the issue of this market because it is in a strategic location. Let them help us, as petty trading is our livelihood.
Li taxaw ni ci cantine ak table jamono yaay jëme moko fa defoon waye léegi fu mu tollu ni
The market construction started since Jammeh's time. The bare ground, which is unpaved, stops us from operating. We have been pleading with the government to help complete the structure so the women can come here and do their business. If this market was completed, it would boost the economy. Despite officially opening in 2016, the uncompleted enormous space, with over 400 structures including boutiques and stalls, toilets, is left void of occupants. Maria P.H. Da Costa, interim president of the Gambia Women's Federation, says the halt in completion is due to a lack of funds.
We've written proposals to different institutions, both internal and externally, even the head of state. There was a visit that was done to him during the early days of the transition. This was followed, I think, sometime last year with a proposal that was requested by one of his administrative secretaries. And we submitted a whole proposal. Our key area of concentration is to get the landscaping.
Maria Da Costa says women have been yearning to operate in the market.
All who have the interest of women at heart, whether male or female, philanthropists, Gambians, including the government for that matter, we are calling them to come, because people would come, look at the place and make promises. And you know, we are very good in making promises.
Meanwhile, we contacted the Birkama Area Council to shed light on what plans, if any, there are for the market, but they say the market is not under their jurisdiction. The market has over 350 stalls, over 25 toilets, concrete tables and chairs. In addition, part of the market plan when completed was to have a small mall, running water, storage facilities, an ice plant, electricity, paved concrete internal pathways, security posts and more. While it remains uncompleted, all of that is lying empty. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
We are back again, and the story by Ajibintu Drame. This story was done 20 April 2022, and of course it's the nature of the Sukuta market. And Brother City, it's unfortunate that, I mean, this amount of wealth being spent on this structure and people are not using it. Well, it's really sad.
Yes, it is indeed sad, seeing that space and those buildings, and we are not using it. That's why sometimes I ask, do we need the local authorities? Do we need transactional leadership in local authorities, or we need formal development leadership in local authorities? I mean, that's a different ball game. That leadership in local authorities definitely need to double up their efforts. But coming back to the Sukuta marketing, you know, since this is Sukuta, you know, like the report said earlier, is, you know, Women's Federation market. This idea was to build a market for the women, not only for the women of Kombo or Sukuta, but a federation, you know, that, you know, the women in the Gambia and elsewhere. We are aware when the idea came, of course, they were looking for land. At one point, there were a few lands that have been identified. And one of those, I understand, was next to the GMPC building. The Petroleum House was an area that was identified for them to use for this Women Federation garden. But for some reason, that didn't happen. And again, when you looked at the Gamtel House by Bursubi, there is another space there, was also identified as a space for this market. But at the time, the National Assembly member for Sukuta, who is Honorable Adama Cham, lobbied so hard because every MP wants to bring development in their community. And he thought, you know, I mean, Sukuta, you know, should benefit from this. It should not go to, you know, the Bursubi end or the Bigelow end, because he wants to be seen as somebody who is from Sukuta, exactly. though he's representing the whole of Kombo Sanimentrem, but he wants to show to the Sukutarians, you know, my brothers and sisters, you know, my aunties and uncles there, that I brought something for you. But the idea was great, you know, that you created this market, but the community was not involved from the inception. You know, bottom approach wasn't done. This was all done on top. And when they came to that very place where this market is been identified by him, they decided that they would use that space for the market. But the land actually belongs to some family members. Predominantly, the guy who the old man who owns the bigger share of the land is Alaji Yusufa Silla, who was the imam at a smaller mosque not far from this market area, and another part of the land belongs to his son and all that. So I mean, the whole place got demolished, and then the market took place. But you can see the construction was not completed. The construction wasn't completed. It was not completed. The contractor who is involved, I understand from the chief that he went to see the contractor, but it's not. It's unfortunate to see the contractor. So it is important, when people are doing, projects like this in communities, to involve the community. So that was not done. And again, I mean, the president who, had the idea or, see it as a political scoring point is no longer here.
Yeah.
But that does not mean the people of Sukuta should not, or the people of the Gambia should not benefit. So like the Brikama Area Council, even though it is not with them,
yes.
That's what I'm saying, we need transformative leadership. In transformation leadership, what you do, you get involved.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask about that because when it was inaugurated, it was the Brikama Area Council that asked the vendors around that area to relocate to the market.
Yes.
And when they relocate there, the council will be collecting revenue from them. Yes. It's a sort of revenue for looking at the strategic location of that place. The infrastructure is not yet completed. So, but if it is completed, there is so much money the Brikama Area Council can get from that. Don't you think? In what way do you think the council should intervene to help?
You see, I think what needs to be done, you've rightly said, even whereby the then government did not involve the council or whatever will happen. But now that they've seen this facility there, what do you do with this facility? The facility is not completed, but it's not in a very bad state. So right now it is staying there and it's going in a complete mess. So the Brikama Area Council should have involved them, be involved in this. And in fact, not only, even the office of the governor, for example, could be involved as well. And local authority could be involved and see this happening. So when you talk about, it can be a money making, great, it will be. Let me give you an idea here. For example, when you go around the Gambia, which place, and we talk about comfort, let's talk about beautification. Which place in Gambia is beautified?
Burfoot.
Yes, you are right.
Burfoot.
Yes, you are right. So that's true. Burfoot is nice. And then Burfoot can be, in fact, more beautiful. Yeah. And the entrance of Burfoot can be more beautiful. And how do we do that? You see, when you go around turntable, the Bursubi turntable, you see all those women vendors there, all those people selling there. If, for example, this Sukuta market is completed, you move all of them there. And the turntable, you beautify it and you make it the cornice. You know the cornice? For example, in Dakar, in Almadi, there is somewhere called the cornice, or you call the boulevard in Paris. Think of the beautification that can be done at the turntable. It would be magnificent. Anywhere in the world, when you talk about the turntable,
people will know.
People will know because the beautification will be there. Yeah. It will be our cornice. It will be our boulevard. So I'm calling on the Brikama Area Council to get involved. Let's do whatever we can, including the central government, to see that market is done.
Well, I mean...
just quickly, to just judge that market is completed, get all those vendors off the turntable, especially with the OIC project coming. We have the turntable to make it a cornice, a boulevard. My God, you have the beautiful cafeteria sitting there. You and I will have beautiful cafes
Definitely. Yes, but I mean, it's unfortunate, to have this kind of a structure. Just being there without being used. A lot of money have been spent.
Yeah,
the women complain a lot. I can remember we invited the president here. She was here, and she talked about when it rains, it's difficult for people to access the market. I think those are things
because it's not complete.
It's not complete, but again, it's not complete. But the people of Sukuta also gave solidarity to the late landowner. That's Alaji Yusufa Silla. They gave solidarity to him because at one point they decided, you know, we're not going to use this market. You know, let the truth be told. They also withdrew from being part of the market. They withdrew because they felt that Alhaji Yusuf Silla has not been compensated. And in fact, you know, at the earlier phase when people were selling there, you know, they were going with the story said, if you put your stuff here overnight, when you come in the morning, you find snakes there. I don't know, when Lolly goes to Sukuta, you'll find those stories. They were saying that.
Yes, I heard that.
You had that.
In the market.
In the market, yes. They say they were
That's
snakes.
this new market.
This market.
And
When they are selling, when they're selling, when they open their business and close for the evening, at night, you know, when they come in the morning, they'll find snakes inside there.
That's what I also got this
yes,
story.
so that is what is happening. That's what they said. So somebody somewhere actually play with the psychology of the people. Right.
So does it happen?
No, let me say this. You see, I said to them, if that's the case, why then our women in Sukuta are cultivating onions in that place and they are not being cased by snakes? As we speak right now,
well, I can see, I mean, on this video, although it's an old one, but still people are using the land.
They are cultivating on the land, and snakes are not chasing them.
It's common sense. It's common sense. Sometimes
I'm not saying we should not believe these things or that. You know, for me, I don't want to go to that domain. Yeah. But what I'm saying, for me, I believe in reality. I look at things and I assess and I understand from my understanding. If, for example, they've been cased by snakes, and now they are cultivating onions,
yes,
and the snakes are not biting their legs. So something else needs to be done. So I think what needs to be done, there must be more proactive engagement by the local authorities, by the central government to engage the people. We have the opportunity. The OIC is here. I love Turntable. I'm from Bruford. It's part of us. It will give us beautification. We turn it to the colonies. We turn it to the boulevard of the Gambia, and we move forward. And the women will really enjoy selling in those markets, and it will make millions for the area councils, and it will make millions for business as well. So I think we need to move that direction.
Exactly.
But again, we must go back and engage the landowner who owned that land. I know he died, Alhaji Yusuf Silla died, but his family is still here. If he needs to be compensated, let the central government compensate him, and let make the best use of this place.
Exactly.
Yes.
So now, I mean, Brikama Area Council is saying, I mean, they are not, like, the market is not part of, under their, like, jurisdiction.
That's what
well, I don't think it should be said like that. I mean,
that's what they keep saying.
Yeah, it's sad when our authorities are saying these things. I mean, Sidi, I mean, you have to be involved, my friend. I mean, this is market.
Before Sidi comes in,
yeah.
I once did a story about the Oliundo market, improper waste management. The whole place is just, a big mess. So I contacted the Brikama Area Council. They said that is a community market. When I interviewed the guy, he said that's a community market. So I asked, do you collect revenue? Do you collect tax from the vendors there? And he said, yes. I said, well, if you collect revenue from them, what do you give back to the, what strategies do you put in place to ensure that at least you support the market?
If you say it's the community, you should not take a penny from them.
Yes. So
but what I'm saying, Mr. Choi, the reality is all the local authorities in this country are collecting far less they should be collecting. No local authority here in the Gambia is collecting 40%. None of them are taking 40% of the economic power sitting in their local communities, because they have not designed a strategy and a program to reach out.
Maybe they have the programs and the strategies, but are they implementing them? I mean, Gambia here, we have good policies.
You see, for example, Choi, let's say, for example, you imagine Brikama Area Council. If they come with a strategy, make so they go out and register every business in West Coast.
So the issue of Brikama Area Council,
I don't want to focus on Brikama.
I live in West Coast. Okay. I mean, I think it's important for me to ask this. The issue of Brikama, I mean, it's among the biggest region in this country. When you look at the tax they collect, I recently learned that Brikama, they collect tax from Brikama to Senegambia area. You understand? But with all that, I think they like Brikama Area Council.
Where is the money going?
You will never see. I mean, this is what is built from.
You see, I understand that it's going to be, you know, from you really love this issue of Brikama Area Council. Of course,
Definitely.
you live in Brikama Area Council. I live in Brikama Area Council. But you know, we don't just focus on Brikama Area Council. Let's look broadly, you know, broadly on the whole area councils. I think they need to really look at, you know, the powers of the local authorities, what they can do, what can be done, and to at least redesign, you know, the whole governance system of the local authority. That's very, very important, because I don't understand why a local authority could be saying this market doesn't belong to us, and you go and collect tax from them. You know, I talked about, you know, registering all the businesses in the, for example, let's say in West Coast, for example, and create, like you call it, the yellow page, the mechanics, the motor mechanics, the panel beaters, the shops owners, you know, people who do, you register
businesses.
Yes, you register all businesses.
Mr. Cisse, you know, this thing, I mean, you are trying to whitewash all these things.
No, it's not whitewash.
No, these things, you just talk about them, but implementation is our problem.
My friend, there is nothing that is difficult.
How?
Let me give you an example. I know you are young, but you are not that old, you're that young.
Yes.
You remember the time of the income tax?
I can remember income tax.
Yeah? What was it like?
Well, income tax. when you talk about
now you pay income tax from your wage. Yeah, that QTV, when they pay you, they deduct it for income tax.
Yes, yes, they do.
But I'm talking about an entity that was income tax, and that income tax was now transformed by an act of parliament to national GRA.
Yes,
Gambia Revenue Authority, and you see the transformation from income tax to Gambia Revenue Authority. You see what they've done?
I've seen the way they are collecting the tax now.
They are collecting the tax?
Yes.
And in fact, you're talking about, you know, money less. They are doing that. They have systems in place, collecting money. They're doing a lot of work. So if you can transform from income tax, in those days, when you go to income tax in quadrangle, piles of papers, you'll see one young lady will be sitting there counting money the whole evening. And they've transformed from income tax to Gambia Revenue Authority. And it becomes a body that is exemplary in the sub-region. I'm not trying to speak for the Commissioner General. Okay? So if that can be done, we can do anything in this country, Mabalde. So it's not rocket science.
But the pace that we are moving, it's very slow as a country, Mr.
What are you doing? What you are doing right now is helping. People are following this program. They are listening. Out of 100 people who listen to this, 2 or 3 will pick something here that will, you know, have critical mind. Yeah, so we must begin to create a critical mind society, and that's how things will work. I've just told you something. You want to go with your young family, Balde. And where do you go with your young family in this country? Of course, Q-City.
Q-City, yes.
But I'm telling you, we can transform the turntable to a boulevard, to a cornice.
Well, I hope when you transform it to a boulevard, you train your drivers to drive carefully. Otherwise,
but then you have a driver's vehicle licensing authority. You have an authority who issues license.
Absolutely.
So it's simple. Balde, you would pick your young family to go to the boulevard, you know, to go to the cornice and have fun.
When Nawek cannot give me a bill for 3 months.
Listen.
When Nawek cannot give me a bill for 3 months, my friend. Huh?
No, listen, Balde.
I'm telling you.
Balde, we should, of course, it's good to be negative. It's good to be, you know, be the devil's advocate.
No,
we can do it.
I'm not being negative here. I'm being real.
No, I'm not saying, I know you've been real.
Yes,
but
I'm telling you what is happening.
It is possible.
Yes.
It is very possible.
It is possible.
And it's doable.
Yes.
It's change of attitude. And I'm telling you, QTV, for example, when it comes to this country, being the first television station, the amount of work you guys have done, do not underestimate it. You have educated a society. You have educated a generation. You have educated a country. And it's happening. In 2004, the Live Aid concert in London, raising funds for Africa, I was with Bob Geldof, the top guy behind the Live Aid musician. You can look him up. You know, we had a talk. in 2004. And he told me, we discussed about Gambia. And he gave me one word. He said to me, Mr. Sise, it's tough for you guys in the Gambia now. But I will tell you, any day, 80% of your country have smartphone. A dictator will not survive it. This was in 2004, Live 8 in London. Bob Geldof told me that. And in 2016, I can tell you, a large number of Gambian people have got smartphone and Yahya Jammeh did not survive it.
Exactly.
So when we work and educate this society and give them the critical mind to think that there is something better, I don't need to fly to Senegal to go to the Corniche or to go to the Almadis. I can have my Almadi here, I can have my Corniche here.
He's a Pan-Africanist.
So we can do it.
Exactly.
We can do it.
Always, change is always possible.
Well,
when we become the change that we want,
Yeah.
become the change that we want.
Yeah.
So if we are ready for it, usually it takes time, because if you bring in a new system, let's talk about a modern technology in place that fights corruption, you must begin to now change the attitude of people to adjust to that situation. Because without change of attitude, you want to do things the old way, you want to continue doing the same thing, it isn't going to get you anywhere. So we must begin to bring in all these things forward towards ensuring that at least
well,
the results
it's
are
the
achieved at the end of the day.
responsibility of every person living in this country, whether you are Gambian or non-Gambian. I mean, your attitude should change, brother Sidi. I mean, the thing that I don't want, to be done to me, I should not do it to someone. I should respect, the rules and regulations of a country. If I am stopped by a police, I shouldn't bribe him, and the police shouldn't take bribery from me. These are all things that we should, put into place to move as a country. It's not only the police, I understand. Not only the police that should do the job. Not only NAWEC should do the job. Not only Brikama Area Council, but we should all do the job.
Yeah, I think the problem is individually or collectively, we need to have, when we started the program, we looked at the proverb. We talked about values. Every human being needs to have principles and values. Integrity matters. Honesty, probity, accountability. These are values I think each of us need to have in order for us to allow change to happen. But if you are somebody who doesn't have any values, you cannot define your principles. Your
animals are better than you.
Are better than you.
And let's take an example of the anti-littering law in this country. It's a law. You walk down the road, you'll see somebody throwing, and they know it's happening. So the enforcement is the problem.
So for me, you can say this, I wouldn't accept this, I wouldn't do this, but that is based on your principles.
You say, okay, people in Europe, they are very sensible, they are not stubborn, they are not, they are the one, they are more stubborn. The kids over there, they're problematic. But there are enforcements there, there are laws there, there are people who would have to be punished. If that is done in this country, we'll see something different.
Where do we start from? If you want to change attitude, where do we start from?
You see, one fundamental thing that we need to do away with is the Maslach syndrome. That's very, very important. It doesn't affect me, so I'm not bothered. It affects everybody. The litter that you're going to put there is going to affect you by one way or the other. So the Maslach syndrome must be stopped all out. And we must also be willing not to be seen that you are a bad person. Sometimes what we do can be very uncomfortable, Joy. I remember when I talked about accidents in this country on my platform, I have a first cousin of mine whose mother and my mother said the same parents. And in fact, I spent my first year in high school in their house. He killed somebody at Denton Bridge, driving. I sat here and I talked about it because I was talking about accidents. I did not stop. I continued talking about it. I continued talking about it. Yes, some people in my family didn't like me talking about that.
But you still talk about it.
I still talk about it. I have my wife who worked for an institution. I brought their issue in this platform and I talked about it. She didn't like it, but I talked about it. I said, you know what? One rule for one is one rule for all.
Yes,
so we must start with ourselves. Yes, Balde is my friend, so I cannot talk about Balde. That's wrong.
I understand that. We must start with ourselves, but there must be the foundation.
Exactly.
Don't you think early childhood education at that young stage, this generation change is very difficult? Shouldn't we start at that level to prepare?
I mean,
for example,
that's very important.
Right.
The curriculum means a lot to us, and then we need to do that. We need to go back to the grassroots and do the work. And this is important, and that's why QTV, you know, being the first television, and they're doing very, very good programs, you know, educating the people.
To follow more of this, Kasha Abdullah is here for you. Well, we have come to the end of the program. But Mr. Sise,
yes,
we'll bring you here again tomorrow. You are coming back tomorrow for the newspaper the review again. I mean, we need to continue this thing. Well, viewers, thank you very much for watching this program. And of course, we'll be back here tomorrow. As I promised, Sise will be back here again. Thank you very much. Until we come here again, have a wonderful day.